I recently took a trip to all the Universal Orlando parks, and it got me wondering, can I apply Universal level theming to a hypercoaster? Hypercoasters are generally not themed due to their size, and thus their inability to withhold theming and immersion throughout its entire layout. But what if I could apply Universal level theming to a hypercoaster in a beautiful, yet also realistic way? All that and more in today's episode of Planet Coaster 2. Hello and welcome back to episode 5 of Planet Coaster 2. My name is Zelucius, or Luck, whichever one works, and it's been a while since we've been into this park. If you didn't know, episode 4, even though it was released like a month ago, I built everything in that last December. So it's been a while since I actually built in this park, and many updates have come out, and I needed to first catch this park up to date so that we could continue on with what we're going to do today. So first, the gift shop to our coaster. Of course, they added the modular gift shops, one of the best features I think I've ever seen them add. So I had to go ahead and make this shop modernized now with the new pieces and the new shops, as well as the photo kiosks. The ride photo is in the same place that I placed the fake one when I first built the coaster. And next, in the resort episode, if you missed it, I did talk about changing it a bit. So here's how it looked at the end of last episode, when they added new glass pieces, as well as the ability to color the pane of glass itself rather than just the frame around it. So here's the glass with its default white color that it spawned in with, and then here's everything changed to black glass, and then I also changed the marble up top to black as well, and also changed the shape of the dome on top to look less like a contraceptive. Well, now that we're all caught up, I'm going to make some plans and I'll get back with you guys in a bit. Okay, check-in number 1. I've started placing the foundations for the service road that's going to go at least underneath the beginning, entrance area of the park leading from the parking lot and down here. It's got a kind of weird layout, but it kind of makes sense. I'll show you it all later when it's done, but I'm starting to enclose this area of the coaster in like a little kind of divot in the parking lot, which will look very cool when it's done, and obviously we're going to theme it after, so that's still yet to come. This right now is just like a Cedar Fair level coaster where you got loose theming in the station, the theming in the name, and then that's it. The rest of the ride is just a ride, but we're actually going to theme some of the area over here as soon as we get the terraforming in. So I've gone into Photoshop and I've planned out the rest of the park more in depth than all of these paths here. Like I just used a terrain painter, but I actually went in with like the brush and some labels, and I came up with some names and some ideas for some places in the park. So this park is gonna be huge, and I hope to hopefully not melt my computer by the time it finishes. Here's like a semi truck, and if I put it on the road here, it can make this turn. It's got a bit of a weird layout, I know, but it should work. So the truck should be able to come down here when the park's closed, switch lanes and all that, go around the roundabout and head down here to supply any areas, whether it's in this area, which is going to have a backstage over here, or as we already know, the backstage that's over here. Alright, now I'm going to cover up this tunnel and kind of make it like this from episode 3. Okay, well, some more time has passed. I thought I'd check in again. I've added the first backstage area, and you might be wondering, you might be like, whoa, why is it so close to the entrance right here? And don't you worry your little head, okay? Don't you worry your little head. This has all been planned thoughtfully, so I'm gonna have enough space to do everything I want to do, and still have the backstage area squeezed into this little niche right here. So what's in this area? It's titled S1 for staff parking, or staff lot number 1. It's got 5 of these little portable housing trailer things. They've each got a number on them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on this side. It's all walkable. I'm gonna add like a little bus stop, shuttle stop for employees to get off here so they can, enter this area without having to drive. I'm also going to add an indicator for the tunnel because, as you can see, when there's one semi-truck in the tunnel, you can't go through to the other side. So we'll have signals to like notify people, okay, it's clear, you can go this way, it's clear, traffic can go that way. Could I have made a wider tunnel? Yes, but it wouldn't have looked as good. And plus, it's all like Backstage stuff anyways. Like, as unrealistic as these tunnels are, tunnels like this do exist, you know, if you look at the Disney tunnels and whatnot. Perhaps an even wider tunnel is even more unrealistic because it would just cost more. So 1 lane tunnel, it's big enough for a semi truck to get through, and that's pretty much all we need at this point. I've kind of done a little bit of the landscaping, no greenery yet, just sort of making it like livable, like someone could actually walk through here and stuff. A couple signs, street signs, and in the parking lot it just got a few spots. I've just put these one piece, like these items here, because the custom cars take up too many pieces, unfortunately. So the next thing I wanted to talk about that I've done, you can kind of see there's actually some theming on this hyper. So this has been a really big challenge, coming up with like how to practically theme a hyper coaster, right? Because most parks that build hyper coasters, they're not theme parks. And part of the reason is hyper coasters are too tall. They're so tall to the point where you can't like hide the immersion. So at some point the immersion is gonna be broken. Especially right here at the crest, you know, you see the parking lot, like, oh, we're no longer in a special world, there's a parking lot. So that's one of the main reasons. Like, I could build a covering over this, could do something like that, but we'll see. Here, I haven't thought of what to do here yet, but that's okay, because I have an idea what I'm gonna do with this. I'll explain the story of the coaster and its theming a bit later as I build it, but right now, what I have done is this cave and these gnarly roots that you're gonna be going through. So yeah, like I said, it's been a challenge doing, I guess, universal level theming on a hyper coaster. So I have to theme what I can, essentially. So the parts closer to the ground, and this is gonna be an exception because it's such an icon, or it's so eye-catching that it kind of has to be themed as well. So that'll be themed. This whole area is fine for now. I'm gonna do a bit more here. Hopefully this doesn't look messy, and I hope you guys think it's cool trying to theme a hyper coaster, because no one really does it. If anyone can think of any examples, please let me know in the comments, because I would like some inspiration. So yeah, right now we just got a partial cave, and the backstage area, you know, we're starting to tie things in. I think what I'm gonna do is finalize this section of the park before we get up here. So that's the direction we're gonna be moving in, and I'll check back with you in a little bit. So like I said earlier, I did go to all 3 Universal parks, as well as Busch Gardens, Tampa, and SeaWorld Orlando, and it was an incredible trip, guys. The whole time I was there, I just kept thinking, man, I want to make something IP based, or like, you know, based on a movie franchise I like. But this is a fantastical German park, and what's a good German theme park without obscure themes? So if you remember way long ago, like way back, like when the game first came out, I told you how this ride was called Tawiskara in theme to Native American, specifically Huron mythology. And well, the story now is a bit more convoluted. So, the specific variation of Tawiskara I envisioned was from an old mobile gacha game called Blood Brothers. And in this game, Tawiskara and his brother and counterpart, Eoskiha, were depicted as eggs, good and evil. Tawiskara being the evil one. And these eggs eventually evolved into their human forms in the game. Now that that's set, all of the rides in this park will be connected somehow through one of the other rides. So here's a storyline that I can tell you without spoiling the rest of the series, I guess. So, due to an unforeseen anomaly, Tawiskara, the god of destruction and evil, has traveled back in time to the origin of life and has developed the plan to steal the good dream egg, thus preventing Eoskiha, his brother, the god of goodness and creation, from being born. In the ride layout is his journey to finding the god tree, locating Eoskiha, and stealing the egg from the nest in the tree. So that's why you're seeing me in the time lapse, you know, create a bunch of eggs, create a bird's nest, and continue on with these vines And that's what the support structure of the coaster, you know, the big airtime hill with the non-inverting loop under it, that's supposed to be the god tree. And you can see the vines growing up out of it. It's essentially like a sapling, I don't know. The scenery is supposed to be like a prehistoric Earth. So like the cutout in the parking lot, that's like the whole area. It's an enclosed prehistoric Earth consisting of a god or origin tree, which sprouts from the rooted structure, the vines that are taking over the roller coaster supports. And I made this part up, so it's not really based on actual mythology. It's actually based on the god tree idea from Naruto, if any of you know about that. Moving forward, I have to find a way to explain the story on the ride, whether it's in the queue or with a pre-show, something like that. And all of this was inspired by Universal because the Battle of the Ministry area at Epic Universe, it was just so impressive. Like, I didn't know that level of theming could exist in real life, but there it is, and it's insane. So now, can this highly detailed and themed support structure exist in real life? Maybe not. But the structure should be strong enough to support the extra weight that the theming brings. But the biggest issue here with realism is that it becomes very difficult to inspect the track for cracks or damages as wear and tear builds up. So that's the one thing we're going to need to gloss over, where you're going to have to suspend your disbelief for a little bit. And apart from this, I try to make everything else very realistic. So that's this structure explained in a nutshell. So this next thing we're building right now, I think maybe some of you guys will like it, but I know some of you guys won't like it, and that's okay. That's divisive. That's good. That's how you know it's really art, when some people hate it and some people don't like it. But with this, I'm going to be taking the park in a completely different direction than some of you may have thought. And that's me installing this fake rock wall. And the original challenge of the video that I said at the very beginning, if you remember, is can we theme a hypercoaster to Universal level or Universal standards? And I was actually inspired from my trip to create this when the day before I went to Epic Universe, I stayed at Stella Nova Resort, I think. Yeah, I stayed at Stella Nova, and here's the view of the hotel room. Very beautiful. You can see the park, and if you look closely right here, you can see the background of the Donkey Kong area, and you can see the support structure just sticking out the back, and they just left it out like that. So if Epic Universal is not above doing that, then neither am I. Because that is the challenge of this video after all, Universal standards. So that being said, we're building this faux rock wall, and it's going to be seen from the parking lot. That's okay, you're not in the park yet, but when you get into the park, the rock wall looks very convincing, and I think you guys are going to like the way it looks. But if you were not expecting this much, like this high level of theming, I totally get it. It does look a bit unrealistic. I mean, this is probably where the biggest divergence resides between my original plan of the park and what it is evolving into right now. I first wanted to go for one of those realistic parks with a high budget, but now I'm leaning towards a realistic park with an extremely high budget, like so extreme that it is borderline unrealistic. We're talking Dubai budget here. And I decided this partly because no one else is building like this that I know of, but also because this is just what I do best. My PlanetCoaster 1 series was an extremely high budget, hyper-realistic park, and that's where I felt my skills truly shine. Of course I enjoy realistic low and mid budget builds as well, but that's just not this park. Anyways, back to building. Right now you're looking at the first mountain, but there is a second. They weren't that difficult to make. You just have to get the scaling right, and you just have to sell like the image that there's a mountain there. So I use those copy and paste rocks, you know, the ones that look like the horizontal lines. You see me paste those a bunch everywhere. I tried to keep that same rock cluster, and just by shifting it, moving it over a little bit, rotating it in different directions, it makes it look like a different piece entirely, but it also keeps the cohesiveness so it looks like, you know, a fake rock set, but at the same time it looks realistic like an actual mountain. It's a pretty difficult balance to achieve, I think, but I think I did an okay job at it. It definitely looks like both. It looks like a real mountain, and it looks like a fake stylized creation, which I'm super proud of. So next, this is a German park, and I thought, why make it set in Germany if I'm not going to look into German culture and make some references? So the second major addition to this episode is going to be my recreation of the Eisbach utilizing the lazy river feature in the game. And if you don't know much about it, it's this fascinating canal in Munich where people can surf and hang out, I guess. I am aware that the government kind of discourages people to actually go into the canal and for recreational purposes, because apparently it's fairly common for accidents to occur. So we're going to make this version of the Eisbach very friendly. It's supposed to be like a recreational thing. It's not like the actual one where people just play in it just because it looks fun, but it's actually pretty dangerous. So bear that in mind. This version is safe and an intentional attraction in the park. Okay, so anyways, I thought it would be a perfect transition from the Great Plains area on the outskirts of the Native American frontier, and it's a good transition from that to an urban German city area as we approach the main street. So that's why when you see me working on the Eisbach, I'm only going to detail half of it in this episode, because the main street will go on the other side. Now, a large portion of this time-lapse was me trying to make the path and bridge above the lazy river using a tutorial by Taggied. And I feel like I shout them out in every video, but it's honestly well-deserved. I mean, it's such a great channel. But eventually I did get everything working, and it's really cool to just watch the guests use everything as intended, which I'll show you later. Now, the last thing I thought I'd mention is that I added another bird's nest to the top of the drop tower that you may or may not have seen in the background. I know it's moving around pretty fast. And I'll fully theme the drop tower in the next episode, but I'm specifically referring to that area now as Eagle's Nest, and I specifically chose that name because of the history of this area. So another deep memory pull for you guys. If you can remember, this park is set in the German Alps near Berchtesgaden, and that, if you may know, is home to Kielsteinhaus. So it's a little ode to the region's history, nothing more. If you know about it, cool. If you don't, it's not that important. I'm just showing you guys how much thought I put into this park. So that should be most of the time lapse. I mean, we still got a little bit to go. I want to talk about my trip a little bit more, actually. I feel like everything I learned and saw could be its own video, honestly, but I took a lot of notes while I was there. I was on my phone a lot, taking pictures and taking notes of things that just exist that I don't know why they don't exist at every park. Like, if you were following my posts on my channel, I was posting one every day of each park I was going to, and I never realized the toll that going to that many parks in a row just takes on your body, especially in the Florida heat. So many sitting areas is going to be a priority just because I found myself in the park always just looking for somewhere to sit down, and I'm pretty active, I'm pretty fit as well. It was so tiring. I don't know what was going on. It just takes it out of you, I guess. Maybe I'm not as in shape as I thought I was. But yeah, long story short, I think I do have a new number one roller coaster. So previously it was Maverick at Cedar Point, and now I'm gonna end the debate. Okay, the best roller coaster in Florida is Stardust Racers. I know a lot of people like to say it's Velocicoaster or Iron Gwazi. Iron Gwazi's number 2, I think. Velocicoaster's number 3. It's a good ride. The theming's amazing. Don't get me wrong. But I had a lot of days to think about it, and I went, if I had the choice to ride any of those roller coasters that I recently experienced right now, only one, what would I choose? And it's Stardust Racers every time. So that kind of settles that in my mind. But maybe my experiences was different than everyone else's, because I did not get a night ride on Velocicoaster, but I got 4 night rides on Stardust Racers. So maybe that influenced it a little bit. But Personally, I just believe Stardust Racers was incredible. Just the whole experience, the vibes, the ride layout too. Honestly, like, people say the green side's better, but the yellow side was way better to me. And we got to experience each side twice at night. So, like, that was peak Stardust Racers that you could experience. And the yellow side was better each time. I think it's got to do with the inversion. So the yellow side has that downwards or barrel down drop, right? It's doing a barrel roll while going down, similar to the one on Iron Gwazi, and I think that's what sets it apart from the green side and makes it a little bit better. I'd rather spin going down, picking up speed. It's like you're getting whipped through the element rather than slowing down as you go through the barrel. You know what I mean? I'd rather have that. So that's why I like the yellow side best. The yellow side is the best roller coaster that I've ridden. Keep in mind, I've never ridden Steel Vengeance, so that could be better. I've ridden the original Top Thrill Dragster. It was good. I have not ridden Top Thrill 2 yet. Hopefully it gets to go this year, but we'll see. It's not looking very reliable, so who's to say it'll be open when I go? That'll be very disappointing. Maybe I'll wait till it's more reliable. Yeah. Anyways, back to what I took from the parks. I took big ideas like for rides and theming, and I took small things like retaining walls and path extras. I try to really absorb everything and what really made me have a good experience at the park at that time, and that's what I really wanted to take away at the end of the trip. So yeah, some of those things I've also already included off camera in the Tawaskara Plaza, so I'll show you that in the live section later. But field research aside, it was such a nice mental reset. I haven't been on a vacation since August 2022, so that was definitely taking a toll, as you can see with my 8-month hiatus from YouTube. In that time, I played a lot of Civ 6, and there's a quote in that game: "People who cannot find time for recreation are obliged sooner or later to find time for illness." And that's very true, not gonna lie. So, from the last episode, as promised, the videos are going to be a lot smaller in scale. No more episodes of me completing an entire, for example, resort in one episode, trying to cram that into 40 minutes, 50 minutes. It's not fun to edit. It's maybe not fun to watch because it's so long. And yeah, it's just too much. So instead, we're going to have these smaller scale videos where I'm going to do a lot less in each episode, but obviously have the same level of detail and thought put into it. So yeah, it's just better for everyone that way. It's quicker turnaround time, so hopefully I can do maybe one a week now. It's right now I'm on pace to hit that, so be on the lookout for episode 6 pretty soon as well. So yeah, it's quicker turnaround time. It's much less editing. I don't have to squeeze 20 plus, or what was it, even 30? I don't know, 30 plus hours of time-lapse footage into 50 minutes, deciding what was important, what wasn't, scrubbing through all that, commentating on all that. It was just way too much. So easier to edit so I can play more, and in turn speed up turnaround time again. And lastly, like I said, they'll just be shorter videos, so easier to watch. No reason to not do that. Yeah. And even right now, as I'm recording this, I've also edited the beginning part of this video, and it's no longer a daunting task. I feel great, and I'm pretty motivated to continue forward with this series. Yeah, and with that, I think we'll move forward to the live section to close this video out. Okay, here we are in the park. Right now we're in the parking lot. It looks very different, doesn't it? So these are the fake kind of rock wall supports that I made in the back here. I'll pause that there so we can just look at it. It's pretty simple structures. Doesn't look too fake, I don't think. I also managed to turn this side of the structure into a covered, shaded area, so maybe while people are waiting for their bus shuttle to take them to the front, they can wait in the shaded area here. So aside from these two rock walls to cover up the rest of the view on the roller coaster, we have some trees here, a lot more foliage. Some of you probably like the old view of like the coaster right here from the parking lot, and that was originally my intention of having it visible from the parking lot so you can see the coaster and it can look intimidating. But after going to Universal, I have a whole different approach. I want the guests to kind of explore and discover new areas as they explore the park. So not having the coaster on full display out front is kind of a good thing right now. And plus, if I had one of these kind of blocking walls around here, it interferes with the entrance area, right? We want the entrance area to look pretty. The trees are pretty. You kind of have the coaster peeking out a bit, and that's fine because it looks really good. You come down this path, and yeah, you see it. It's huge. And then maybe if you're further away in the park, it's part of the mountain range. Obviously the colors are different, so it looks a bit different, but it's pretty seamlessly integrated. It's like a mountain, there's like a hole, and then the mountain. So pretty good, pretty fantastical, I will say. Yes, you can still see the parking lot from here. That was just too hard to hide because I wanted to keep the sight lines, especially this one right here. It looks good having it open so you can see the mountain in the back and get the sense of depth. You can kind of see I used the forced perspective here. So these bigger rock sections are at the bottom, and then that same exact rock section just shrunk all the way down or at the top. And same with the trees. These are all very small trees, all on the rock wall. But then outside the rock wall, they're full-size trees. So from afar, on the main path and whatnot, it looks very far away. It looks very tall. And it fits into the area really well. I really enjoy this view. I know it's not perfect. Like, you can sometimes see the parking lot from some angles, but, the attempt is there. I tried my best. Another thing you'll notice is I added these banners to the lift hill. I know it's not realistic to do that, but I think it adds a lot, so I'm going to keep it. Some more additions to the Tawiskara Plaza. I ended up making a test seat out front. It's pretty close to the actual MACK train. And I added a wait time. So this is just something I whipped up in Photoshop to make it look like the digital ones inside of every ride entrance. And then that image is just AI generated. I'll replace it with the logo of the park once I name the park. And I added some signs. This area now is walkable. And there are lockers, the larger lockers for people to place their things in. Back to the ride entrance. Now there's two paths in here. There's the regular queue and the fast lane queue, so I added this. And it's another simple path through here. I had to move some things around, but it wasn't too hard. The most important thing I did was add this arch through here underneath the other queue, recycling bin. And this goes up near the brake run. Another warning sign, some fencing so people don't go over, and this goes right up to the station. On this side, you may have noticed a lot more terraforming going on. Lots of interesting things happening here. I'm trying to slope these paths to create the best sight lines that I can. If we go up from this angle, we get a nice view of the coaster. And again, from this angle heading down, we get the perfect view of this area of the park. And again, this is the backstage area that I made earlier. Here's an Easter egg, a literal Easter egg. Oh, I did add both eggs. So if you remember the story, Tawiskara travels back in time to take the egg. This is the Tawiskara egg, and this is the Eoskiha egg. So they're both in like their own nest in the god tree. This one is also supposed to be like a tree, except the roots growing are partly to block the view and create head choppers, but it doesn't look too bad, and it makes it a lot more thrilling, honestly. I also put speakers here that are playing, I think, the forest noise, so there's like birds chirping. It really makes you feel like you're up in the canopy here. Now for the ice back, I'll actually have guests in to show you it working. Okay, so here we are. People are in the park now, and here's a group of guests. They're going to walk down here and enter the river. So we have people heading down now. People do swim underneath, and people can walk across. Or maybe it's bugged out. I don't know. I guess I need to fix it again. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work, but it's actual path. Like, you can walk across it both ways. So here, someone just swam underneath, and people are walking across. Yeah, people are using the path. It's just they hardly path find to it. I don't know why. Yeah, people are swimming down. I mean, it's not exactly the way I intended, but it's cool. You know, if you can imagine being at a main street that's kind of elevated up here, looking down, you see this beautiful area, and then you see people swimming in a canal. It'll look pretty cool, I think. Lots of movement. Here's the path. You can see it does exist right above the pool. The clearance is a little low. Don't roast me on that. That guy jumped so high. What the hell? Here's the eagle's nest. In the next episode, I will get a chance to fully theme this. So I spent most of my time on this, which is, you know, understandable. That took so long. But the theming is definitely there. It looks good. I threw in one of the feathers and the axe, if you remember from the beginning. Didn't expect to use this many pieces, but my computer can handle it, so I'm gonna stick with it until I can't run the park anymore, and then we're gonna start over or something. But yeah, anyways, as always, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. It was a really fun one to make, both editing and building. If you enjoyed the video, I encourage you to subscribe so you can check out the next one. Also, leave a like if you enjoyed. You know, how am I gonna know if you liked it if you didn't like the video? Or leave a comment. You know, I love reading comments, good or bad. Let me know what you think. Any ideas, any corrections, because I seem to get a lot of things wrong. You know, I'm not actually German, I am American, so I'm just doing a little bit of research, not too much, finding interesting things that I can put into the park. So if there's anything you guys thought of that might make sense in the park, or maybe anything that I got wrong or need to correct, please let me know, and I'll try and get that worked out. So yeah, anyways, thank you for watching again, and I will see you in the next one. And to answer the question, can you theme a hypercoaster? I'll let you decide for yourself.